headline show. Hey, we're back! Wah! Gamer Headlines is weekly entertainment podcast. This is episode 78, and I am one of your co-hosts, Chris Cortez. And with me, as always, back with his beautiful, silky smooth British voice, my co-host, Adnan Riaz.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Ish. Still,
You didn't
it's
walk
still
down
kind of hurt.
the Michael Jackson steps that we set up for you.
Well, that's true. It's kind of still hurting a little bit, but it's better than nothing.
Dude, your voice, I mean, like, compare it to the Uncharted spoiler cast, and your voice is like night and day difference. You sound great, man.
Oh, cheers.
It's
That's
good.
good.
Yeah, but welcome guys to the show. It's been, man, a month hiatus. It's nuts how long it's been. As you guys may not have picked up from the conversation between my co-host and I, Adnan was recovering. His voice was really shot up, but he's back, as he said, and we're back too. We're gonna be actually messing around with the format of the show for the next few months, because we're no pun intended, trying to find our voice again. But we're going to be messing around with it. And this week, we're actually going to be skipping Talk Nerdy to Me because we have a lot of news to cover that we want to dive into. We have a really great segment we're going to go over, a topic of the week kind of thing. And yeah, so I guess we'll just jump into the news, man. Like,
Yeah?
go into this. Do you mind if I take this first one, dude?
Yeah, go
Actually,
for it.
sweet. Okay, guys. So this is actually a combination of two different news stories. I'll go ahead and say them back to back. So, Resident Evil 7, which huge surprise announcement at E3 this year, and of course the demo available for PS Plus members. Resident Evil 7, the developers behind the game have confirmed that RE7 won't be a ghost story, as the demo suggests. They kind of divulged a little bit, of information, and they said that players won't be switching zombies for ghosts. So even though the official demo of the game was packed with references to the occult and a bunch of other things, the director, Koshi Nakanishi, I probably butchered that name, said in a Capcom Unity blog post that, quote, I think you could look at the trailer or the demo and get that impression, but don't worry, we haven't just thrown out Resident Evil as it exists and turned it into a ghost story. It will all make sense in the end. And of course, the demo was said to be more of a tonal preview and not necessarily a slice of gameplay from the main game, which kind of makes you think, like, do you think, like, based off this quote, Adnan, and like that, do you think like there is no ghost play involved, or do you think like it's gonna be like Outlast? How, remember
It's early
Outlast?
days.
Yeah, like how Outlast. Remember they're like, oh, it's a ghost, but then at the spoilers
Well,
at the end of the game, it's all biological.
yeah, well, we haven't really spoken about Resident Evil because of
Yeah,
all this happening, like, just generally, but, like, it was very strange playing it. Like, it was very, like, when I played it, because I know one of the PT designers worked on this game,
really.
yeah, he worked on the
Oh,
beginning hour, and it feels more like it because it's atmospherically the chill is like ridiculous. Like it's at one part, you know, at one point in the trailer where they were showing it on the stage, and that guy walks past the door. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I don't like when people do that. I'm like, no, no. Um, so I'm not sure. Like when you see it though, and you see the gameplay, it's kind of strange because it's not Resident Evil. Yet I'm not kind of like too like going to jump on the bandwagon and say it's not Resident Evil because it did have that kind of the essence of the game. Like just generally, like there was little things, but because it's VR and it's first person, it's kind of strange because like I think we all kind of wanted that, like when I kind of played the Evil Within, I felt that was a spiritual success. It's the controls of Resident Evil 4, like carry on with like the third person over the shoulder. It was kind of very like restrictive on ammo and stuff like that. Who
Hmm.
knows where it's going to go? But like the thing is, when it's a VR kind of like developed title as well, how much emphasis is going to be placed on VR? How much isn't going to be placed on VR? Will it affect the experience not having a VR headset? There's like a million different answers kind of like
Yeah.
that we don't have yet. Um, and like generally, I don't feel like the ghost thing. I don't think they'll do that because they even had that like in the house. If you haven't played the demo, I don't know what you're doing, but like you can play the demo. Like, they have that picture of the Umbrella Corps logo at the top, kind of like it is much about the infected and stuff like that. But I don't know. The demo felt weird. Like when I think back at it, it was a brilliant demo, but at the
Hmm.
same time, it's kind of a little bit cheap because it doesn't really have a universal ending. even though PT did, because like PT was that same hallway, but it was very clever because it was like it was puzzle and constructive, and it was very like it was Silent Hills. It was teasing what Silent Hills could have been, and should have been as well had it gone into development. But like Resident Evil's demo was kind of like, yeah, it's clever. It was doing this like when you're in the VHS tapes, you can kind of manipulate things, and
Yeah.
you find them if you go into the back into the present. But like, I'm not too sure what they're gonna go with. Like, it was kind of like, yeah, it's here's a sample. I'm like, is this anywhere near what the final game's gonna be like?
Which,
Anything?
dude, actually, let me pause for a second. You brought up something that was very interesting that actually is the second half of our news on RE7. So I'll go ahead and talk about it now. But
Mm-mm.
you mentioned about how like is there like a real ending that like welcome to the family, son is really the only thing we get. Um, so actually,
You know what?
Capcom.
Before today, I had a massive beard because I basically I refused to shave my beard off until I got my voice back. It
uh
was massive. I kept going up to people on the street going, "Welcome to the family, son."
Just cover yourself in blood. They're like, he's gone mad. Fuck. Um, well, actually, Capcom responded to some of the lingering RE7 demo questions. And so, there's like a lot of stuff like, like the fucking finger. What do you do with that finger? Like, no one's figured that out yet. So, in response, this was, it says here that players, let me just say this. So RE7, the beginning hour, the demo for RE7 that was revealed at E3, has offered players plenty of questions and mysteries, leaving the community around it wondering if it's actually possible to solve the demo's main goal of escaping the house alive. So this is a quote from a representative of Capcom as to whether it is possible to leave the house alive and essentially find the demo's real ending. The quote is, "We hope fans are enjoying the demo and discovering all it has to offer.
Ah,
While we can't confirm any specifics about the demo, the team is definitely keeping an eye on all of the feedback." So that's what
do you know what?
a Capcom rep said.
The amount of time that we spent in the fucking industry and the amount of PR nonsense that's been, they could literally be like, no. And
Right?
I don't think anyone would have been upset. It'd be like, yeah, there's clarity. Like, you can't get out of the house. And it's kind of like, this, yeah, we're happy that, and we're looking at feedback. And it's like, that's not the question. You just bounced around for no reason.
It's so fucking ambiguous. Like,
Like,
right? Like, what does that mean, right?
I,
Like,
I originally managed to imagine that they were splicing a section out of the game. That's why the finger's there. And
mm,
like even like if you go on the option screen as well, there's something about ammo in there as well. Do you know why it's because the lighting is
mm,
faded out, but it says something to do with ammo.
huh.
So you have a gun. But it's kind of like it's so ambiguous, and it's like, what's the point? You could just say no. It's like kind of like it's more about exploration than an ending. Because
Right.
that's the type of like you can like find 15 different scenarios doing different things. And doing different things like people seeing the ghost, some people haven't, X, Y, Z, blah 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 blah. But like it's kind of like it's just a bit strange the entire demo. It didn't really give me a sense of what Resident Evil 7 is going to be.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
with
was
the exception
clever.
of it going back to its horror roots and puzzle
Yeah,
roots and the first person perspective is
yeah.
interesting. But yeah, other than that, we really don't know what they're doing with RE7. I know it's definitely not going to be anything like RE6. That's for sure. And I think
Uh,
like a producer has said something about how they're not having returning characters. So like we're not playing as like Leon or Chris or something like that.
yeah, I think we talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like they'll abandon that
It's
that story.
yeah, it's I'll tell you, dude. To give my perspective on both these news pieces, um, I like where they're going with RE7. I actually said this around the time of E3 that this is the first time I've been excited for a Resident Evil game in such a long time. Um, because like for me, dude, I don't know, Resident Evil kind of when RE4 came out, it all changed for me. Like they went this different direction. I know a lot of people liked RE4, but I kind of like didn't like it had the opposite effect on me. It got me so disinterested in the series. And then like I played the game since then, and they've been enjoyable. I haven't been disinterested in them like 100%. But this new game is just adding so much mystery to it, and it's so fucking interesting that they're going this
Yeah.
route. So I'm looking forward to it. In response to the demo, I think it's always cool when companies try to do something interactive, like they try to bring E3 home. I think that's always so cool. And the fact that we're still talking about this demo and it's been a few weeks, that is so cool. Uh,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like to follow that PT esque style of marketing and to do that, like to me, that's more like I downloaded the RE7 demo and the Force Awakens demo, and I like the Force Awakens demo for Lego. That was cool, but it was boring. It was like literally a sample of the game. I played it once. I didn't play it anymore. That was the end of it. But with this game, like I'm still going back and playing it. I'm still trying to figure it out, and I got like super hyped about RE7. So I like that. I would definitely. I don't like this quote from this rap about how like we're watching your progress. Like it's like some fucking psychological game. But like I wish you're right. I wish they would kind of be a little bit more forthcoming and be like, well, actually, no, there is no real
yeah.
ending.
Well,
Just
if you're
say it.
Resident 7, it's a completely different. You know, there's a lot of risks to take with Resident Evil 7 now because if it fails,
Yeah.
it fails. That's probably that. That's it. I can't really see them really bouncing back from it properly because like it will be devastating on the effect of what they're doing because they are really radically changing the direction of the series. First person, kind of like this,
Yeah.
that. Who knows? It could be something very, very interesting. First person might make it even more kind of like scary, but
Maybe it's a fever dream. Like it's
yeah,
someone infected with the T virus and they're having a fever dream. It's all fake. It could be a number of things. I mean I think it is interesting that it did have a paranormal vibe to it and now they're saying no it's not. So I guess it is going to be connected like how the zombies were biological weapons gone wrong. I think it's going to be something like that. Or maybe they just dropped that completely. Maybe there isn't any go. Maybe that's just the demo and
maybe.
the
I'll,
yeah
I'll be pretty harsh as well. Like Resident Evil's never really had an interesting story.
yeah
Like you like thoroughly engrossing for like a horror game. It's kind of like being a cool concept surrounded by shit storylines and dialogue, and it's kind of like because basically like Resident Evil 5 is an example of being a bro shooter with Chris Redfield. Like yeah, I'm like I've got muscles and there's a lady with me. I'm gonna shoot things, my third person perspective, and it's like what? I'm like what? Never had like a very deep, meaningful like for example like with horror and like when you see a lot of horror movies psychologically like on the person on the individual is that kind of mentality that's set on. We never
hmm
really explore that with characters. They just go back into it and like yeah I'm just gonna shoot shit. And I'm like what? Like shouldn't you
yeah
be kind of like psychologically a little bit disturbed that you're going fighting zombies again or like this is happening or that's happening? They're kind of really like bland and like boring
yeah.
to be nice.
That that's why I
But who knows?
thought yeah that's why I actually thought Outlast worked so well because that game like scared the shit out of you but it was interesting like I thought it was so cool that there's an underground laboratory and that thing that was chasing you throughout the whole game was actually like this guy hooked up to a machine and the DLC they released for that game was great um and Outlast 2 looks pretty good too like
Yeah.
so it's interesting Capcom learned from that and from PT it seems and they're kind
Yep.
of trying to do something similar so yeah we'll see man I mean we could only hope going forward that it turns out to be cool. I mean, the wait is not going to be very long. It's January, so it's
Yeah.
roughly 6 months away from now. So fuck, man, it's gonna be good.
See what
Right,
happens.
just in time for the new year.